So we have Barney Pilling here, who has worked on films like the Grand Budapest Hotel, One Day and An Education. We have Valeria Bonelli, who's worked on Philomena and Hummingbird, amongst many others. William Goldenberg, who's here with the Imitation Game and has also worked on films like Zero Dark 30 and Argo. And Tom Cross, who is here this year with Whiplash. It'd be good, I think, if you can talk about what it is that initially draws you to a project as an editor.
For me, it always starts with the script. You know, in the case of Whiplash, I had a producer I had worked with before when I was an assistant editor was interested in having me work on the short film version of Whiplash, which preceded the feature. And he described it to me and said, it's going to be a great opportunity. And I said, send me the script. And, you know, I read the script and I thought it was just dynamite. It was a fantastic script. And so I think it almost always starts with that. But then then I said, you know, it's a fantastic script. I'd love to meet the director. I met the director, and I thought he was dynamite. I thought he was fantastic. I mean, the way we kind of loved the same films. He literally spoke about editing. He talked about editing from specific movies that he loved. I could just tell that this was someone who I really wanted to work with. He really had a vision for the movie. If this director, Damien Chazelle, if he does any movie, if he directs The Phone Book, I'm on board.
You're going to be there, yeah.
Yeah.
1, 2. Not quite my tempo. Connolly?
Okay, yeah, I
Connolly?
can take it right
Go
back
ahead.
from the top. I can do it.
Nope, we'll go with Connolly now.
Basically, the goal was to really get it to Sundance. And so they started shooting September 3rd, and you know, I was cutting while they were shooting. I had kind of a first assembly, a first cut a week after they finished shooting. They shot about 19 days. And so on that movie, we really had very little time, but I knew that because the schedule was never going to slow down, I knew that I had to get really in deep with the footage and really get to know it and try things as quickly as I could. These days, I think everyone is used to seeing very polished rough cuts, very polished, and so polished that they're not even really rough cuts in a way. And so on Whiplash, that was the case. I mean, my goal was to really have a first cut that was very polished. At the same time, I always just look at it as a sketch, because I know that in my experience, a lot of things really change once the director comes in the room. There was one time I remember where Damien was really insistent that he shot something, and I was pretty certain that he didn't, but he was so certain that I started second guessing myself. I started thinking, did I just forget it? And I was having my assistants look for it.
Deleted it.
And right, did I delete it or did I just not see it, which is a nightmare, an editor's nightmare. Somehow you didn't see something. That's never supposed to happen. But as it turns out, you know, I felt confident in my knowledge that what he thought he shot didn't exist. And I really only could speak with confidence about that because I knew the footage so well. And he was so insistent, but I knew the footage so well that I insisted. And eventually he was like, oh yeah, right, it was that day. Yeah, okay, I guess we don't have it. And then he started getting really depressed because he missed a shot that we didn't get. But then we had to come, you know, then we came up with a solution and sort of jerry-rigged something together, and then, you know, it was okay.
Start counting.
5, 6, 7.
In 4, damn it! Look at me!
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Now, was I rushing or was I dragging?
No.
Count again.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Rushing or dragging?
Rushing.
So you do know the difference!
Barney, maybe you could talk a bit about the Grand Budapest Hotel. The script can be really different, particularly with comedy, because it's so visual.
I mean, it was such a good script. You know, Wes has really honed his craft now, and I think it's almost out of the normal ballpark of comedy. He's got his own brand of that, and you know, his sense of timing and his sort of peculiar view on human relationships is where the comedy comes from. I really responded to the script, But I think the other thing to be said about Wes's manner of filmmaking is, and it's evident from watching his films, is that there's an awful lot of physical humour going on. Not just the way the characters interact together, which is obviously very important, but also the way those characters react with the camera. They're so deliberate, these camera moves, and so overt in places, that often, you know, the humour comes from the timing of those just as much as the characters do. That's not to say that it all just falls together, it doesn't, and there's an awful lot of time spent retiming and building performances to have just the cadence. But often you find that with these sequences, you know, a gag will come at the end of a series of camera moves, it's whipped over there, they've run there, stopped, it's whipped up there, and it holds, and there's your joke. So it was really well placed at script and storyboard stage.
How may we serve you, gentlemen? Ah, Inspector Henkel.
By order of the Commissioner of Police of Broca Province, I hereby place you under arrest for the murder of Madame Celine Villeneuve de Goffin Taxis.
I knew there was something fishy. We never got the cause of death. She's been murdered. And you think I did it. Hey!
William, the tension guy. Actually, if you could talk a bit about the specifics of the Imitation Game.
While I was cutting the film, I was trying to always have in my mind that, you know, because they're in this little village, you know, in Bletchley Park, which is, you know, and they're mostly with pencils and pens and pads, and that's how they're trying to break the code, and then eventually the machine that Alan builds. But trying to cut with a pace that made it feel urgent and made it feel like there was a race against the clock at all times, and made it, you know, it feel like there was this tremendous weight of the war on them at all times. And we, through the course of cutting the film, added, you know, through CG and a couple little extra pieces of voiceover or stock footage, more war elements to sort of bring that down on their heads a bit more. And then I think when Morton and I went through the film and really concentrated on getting that element right, we realized, we took a step back and realized we had sort of shortchanged the personal story a little bit. And we weren't really giving Benedict the room to breathe and the room to really, you know, to explore, be able to explore his character and in ways that we had footage for. So we went back and had it like eased up on it a bit and really let those moments play and tried to make them as real and as personal as possible. And the great thing with an actor like Benedict is that you can, by just hanging on him in certain moments and playing and letting things play, he delivers performances that are so extraordinary you can't take your eyes off him. There's a scene in the interrogation room where he's explaining what the imitation game is. That I mean, there's probably 10 cuts in the scene, and you know, it's all just Benedict and just finding those performances and letting them play. A lot of those emotional moments and those human elements were just, you know, really, really great acting, and just finding those moments and let the audience enjoy them.
Would you like to play?
Play?
It's a game, a test of sorts, for determining whether something is a machine or a human being.
How do I play?
Well, there's a judge and a subject. And the judge asks questions, and depending on the subject's answers, determines who he is talking with, what he is talking with, and all you have to do is ask me a question.
I'm afraid we're out of time, but that's been really illuminating. Thank you all very much. Barney, Valeria, William and Tom. Thank you.